In my country and in my family, I believe that a marriage should be between a man and a woman. A marriage should be between a man and a woman. I was given a question asking for my opinion, and I stated my honest belief. Not only do I hold this belief, but as Mr. Trump said, the President of the United States, the Secretary of State, and many Americans agree with me in this belief.
Governor noting that she spoke to Miss California soon after the, quote, liberal onslaught of malicious attacks began. Continuing the quote, "I can relate as a liberal target myself. What I find so remarkable is that these politically motivated attacks fail to show that what Carrie and I believe is also what President Obama and Secretary Clinton believe: marriage is between a man and a woman." Neither of them, as Ms. Prejean did, then joined or endorsed the effort to make that the legal definition. Here's the then presidential candidate, Hillary Clinton, speaking with Ellen DeGeneres about gay rights.
States have determined age of marriage, other conditions, and over time we've gotten rid of a lot of the discrimination that used to exist in marriage laws. And that's now happening. People are making decisions. Civil unions, marriage, they're deciding in the states, and I think that's the appropriate place for this to be. Yeah.
You know, for me, we have made it very clear in our country that we believe in equality. How we get to full equality is the debate we're having. And I am absolutely in favor of civil unions with full equality of benefits, rights, and privileges. And I've also been a very strong supporter of letting the states maintain their jurisdiction over marriage. And I believe that was the right decision for a lot of reasons. It's easy, again, to forget that just 2.5 years ago, we were facing all of these referenda that were enshrining discrimination in state constitutions. And a lot of people tried very hard to fight against them and prevent them from being passed, but unfortunately, they were. Now, 2.5 years later, we're beginning to see other states take different approaches. And what we were able to do, and I really give HRC a lot of credit for your leadership on this, in stopping the federal marriage amendment, gave the states the breathing room to make different decisions. So I want to proceed with equalizing federal benefits. I want to repeal Section 3 of DOMA, which stands in the way of the extension of benefits to people in committed same-sex relationships. And, you know, I will be very strongly in favor of doing that as president. I disagree completely. I do not think homosexuality is immoral. When HRC stood up, I love the fact it's my initials. Have you ever noticed that? When HRC stood up and took on the federal marriage amendment, you were making an important statement because this amendment was wedge politics at its worst. It was mean-spirited. It was against the entire forward movement of American history. It was the first time that anyone was proposing that we amend the Constitution to deny citizens' rights, rather than widening the circle of rights and opportunities. And I was proud to meet with Joe and others representing HRC and other groups to strategize together, because it gave us an opportunity to not only defeat the amendment, but to lay down some markers about the positive agenda we are pursuing. It wasn't easy, and I know a lot of you put in long hours making phone calls and sending hundreds of emails and lobbying personally your members in Congress. You had to educate a lot of people. Joe saw that even at the meetings we held. There were a number of my colleagues who just weren't quite sure what this was all about. But in the end, we stopped the federal marriage amendment, and we sent a strong message that we will not stand idly by when anyone tries to write discrimination into our Constitution. We want to make sure that all Americans in committed relationships have equal benefits, from health insurance and life insurance to Social Security and property rights and more. It is wrong that so many people are unable to care for those they love, to leave them their homes and belongings, to ensure they can see a doctor, to visit them in the hospital when they're sick. These are fundamental rights, and we will continue to push until they are equally available. As many of you know, I have long supported civil unions, and that's why I am co-sponsoring the Domestic Partnership Benefits and Obligations Act, which would grant the same benefits to domestic partners of federal workers as those who are given to legal spouses. We're going to make sure that nothing stands in the way of loving couples, gay or straight, who want to adopt children. I have spent more than 35 years fighting for children and families, and I have seen the sadness and the hope in the eyes of children who are desperate for a family to call their own. We have a fundamental obligation to make sure these children have loving homes and a chance to succeed. And I know, based on my experience in the last 2 years in the battle against FMA, that working with all of you, we can accomplish these goals because we have the same determination, the same can-do attitude, and the same great initials. And in the end, these issues speak to the core truths of our democracy.
The Human Rights Campaign has every reason to be not just upset, but outraged that the President of the United States would use the power of his position to promote an amendment that for the first time would explicitly deny rights to any group of Americans.
For the past 8 years, leaders in Washington and in states across the country have tried again and again to enshrine discrimination in our Constitution. They have tried again and again to interfere with the most private decisions that we make as men and women, like who we share our lives with, raise our children with, who we entrust to be our advocates in our final moments in this world. These questions speak directly to whether or not we are truly free as Americans. I want to acknowledge all of my friends there, especially Joe. You know, Joe and I have worked so closely together. Joe was instrumental in defeating the federal marriage amendment, and I'm sure glad we did, Joe. To all those who voted for me and to whom I pledged my utmost, my commitment to you and to the progress we seek is unyielding. You have inspired and touched me with the stories of the joys and sorrows that make up the fabric of our lives. And you have humbled me with your commitment to our country. 18 million of you from all walks of life women and men, young and old, Latino and Asian, African American and Caucasian, rich, poor and middle class, gay and straight, you have stood with me. And I will continue to stand strong with you every time, every place, and every way that I can. The dreams we share are worth fighting for. We all want an America defined by deep and meaningful equality, from civil rights to labor rights, from women's rights to gay rights, from ending discrimination. There are no acceptable limits, and there are no acceptable prejudices in the 21st century in our country.
this echoing of a beauty pageant contestants taking the opinions of the president and the Secretary of State out of full context. And again, I know this imbues her with wonderfulness in the echo chamber, but does she not know that she and Carrie Prejean and Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton are in fact on opposite sides of the debate over the legalities?
I believe Sarah Palin said that homosexuality is a perversion, and we know that from the Bible. I do not think that Obama or Hillary Clinton or any of them have ever said that about gay marriage.
We have a common task and a common challenge.
Why can't we see that we are all in this together?
Humanity is going on. Our challenges are ones that summon the best of us, and we will make the world better tomorrow than it is today.